The Darkside Detective is a mystery point-and-click where you'll solve crimes and disturbances dealing with the occult. It was released on the Nintendo eShop on February 7th, 2018 for $12.99 USD or your regional equivalent, and the Nintendo Switch version allows use of the touchscreen or the Joy-Cons. Enter Detective Francis McQueen, a man who believes in ghosts, gremlins, and the other horrors that go bump in the night. Despite the subject matter, the game is far from tense or scary, relying on a heavy dose of tongue-in-cheek humor and cultural references. The specters you'll meet aren't vengeful, but petty, and the people dabbling in the dark arts are usually too dim-witted to stop you from thwarting their plans. The puzzles are satisfying to solve, and it's fun to poke around the various locations to see what contextual tidbits the developer buried therein. There are a total of 6 cases that can be accessed from the main menu, each of which is set in a different location around the Queen's hometown of Twin Lakes. They must be played in order, the first case before the second, and so on and so forth, though there isn't a huge amount of plot continuity between them. Let's address the elephant in the room. There are 6 cases to solve, a very finite number, and depending on your skill, each will take around 20 to 30 minutes to complete. There's also no replay value given that puzzle solutions are always the same. So why buy Darkside Detective? Intuitive puzzles, a zany plot, puns, and pop cultural references aplenty make this game a great addition to the library of any fans of the genre. Typical to point-and-click games, you'll be able to gather up objects to help solve puzzles, combine them, and use them by dragging them to appropriate places. Sometimes this isn't as intuitive as it could be, and I ended up interacting with basically everything in order to make something, anything, happen. The game is presented in a gritty pixel art style that's well suited for the subject matter. That includes character portraits, which means the game has to rely on its dialogue in order to convey expressions and reactions. Darkside Detective's dialogue is definitely one of its strengths, and it's what will ultimately push you to get to the bottom of the case. There are a lot of jokes and references, so if you've got a lame sense of humor, you'll feel right at home. That being said, there are a few quality of life improvements I think the game could use, especially on the Nintendo Switch, such as the ability to scroll faster when using the controller, and also the ability to highlight objects that can be interacted with. Since the game is slow to scroll and there's no setting to change this, it would have been nice to be able to see what I could click on rather than having to make my way across the screen in vain. It could also benefit from a hint system. Sometimes it took more time trying to figure out a solution than actually solving anything. Finally, a minimap would have been nice, particularly for the larger areas. It's easy to forget which room connects to which room, and as such, you may end up backtracking a lot. Final verdict? Recommended, likely at a discount. This charming adventure is short but sweet, and its characters will stay with you long after the cases are solved. Should the developer deign to add more cases as DLC later, I could easily recommend this at full price. That's all for me, gamers. I've been Dawn from NeedtoKnow. Stay in the know.